Hey gang, Jeff Stone here with day 72 of the year 2015 at magicreviewed.com. We're looking at early Dobson Volume 1. And if you saw yesterday's video review, you may recall that I said that I chose this one myself because I was looking forward to watching it. And I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed. Now, just because I'm disappointed doesn't mean it's a bad product. But let's talk about some of the details. First of all, it is what it says it is. The ad copy is all direct and accurate and everything. So there's no issue there. But what you get is old archive footage of Wayne Dobson performing back. It's probably 25 or so years old. And surprisingly, the footage looks really good. I thought it would be all grainy, 80s quality footage. But I mean, it might even be... So he got diagnosed with MS in 1988, I believe. And this was before that, obviously, or at least before he had become debilitated by it. And so it has to be at least, early to mid 80s, this footage. So it's pretty old footage, and it looked great. I mean, it looked really, really good. So this kind of a DVD, the question is, what exactly are you getting? What am I, for $25, what am I getting in return? And so for a video with this title, Early Dobson, and it's talking about teaching 8 of his effects, my thinking would be, well, you're getting 8 tricks and how to do them, but you're also getting, to see a professional performer who is a very good entertainer perform these effects, and back at his, the peak of his career or whatever, or at least his performing career. And so that's what I think you would be expecting to get out of this, based on the ad copy in particular. So you don't quite get that, really. Let's talk about the effects. Yes, you do get 8 effects. 7 of them are performed by Wayne Dobson on stage from the old footage. The 8th one is just done by Mike Sullivan. And Mike Sullivan is the one who teaches all of the effects after they're performed. So you see a performance of one effect by Wayne Dobson, then cut to Mike Sullivan explaining, then back to Wayne, and back to Mike, then back to Wayne, back to Mike. That's how it goes. Mike Sullivan does a good job at teaching them and everything, and all the details are covered, and there's no problems there. There were a couple where it was like, I better watch that again, or rewind it, or he just wasn't very clear in there. But all in all, you'll be able to learn the effects just fine. The methods are all solid, fine. And the reason I know that, other than the fact that I watched the video, but it's because these methods and these effects have stood the test of time. These effects are not really that original. You get a couple of sandwich tricks. You get coins and glass, basically handling of Ramsey's coin and cylinder. You get a matrix, which is almost the same. It's just it's a Roth thing, basically, David Roth, not the lead singer of Van Halen, but the other David Roth. Anyway, you get a Do As I Do routine, and then you get a razor. It's called Razor and Invisible Card routine. That one did feel a little bit more, maybe original is the right word, but at the very least, it's a lot less familiar feeling than the other ones. I mean, Do As I Do, we've all seen Do As I Do tricks. We've all seen matrices. Is it matrices when you're referring to the coin matrix, or is it still matrices? Anyway, we've all seen sandwich tricks. We've all seen coins and glass or coins across. And so, but this Razor and Invisible Card, it's one that you may not have seen. And real quick, the basic effect, 2 cards are selected. One is you apparently put an invisible card on the table, and you keep, imagine this is a table and there's an invisible card, and you're peeking at it and you're telling them what the card is. But then when you're done, you turn the card over, and it appears. Michael Vincent has a routine like that. So I don't know if they were both inspired by the same person, or if Michael Vincent was inspired by Wayne Dobson, or what. But then the second half of that effect, the deck that's been shuffled and everything was put back in the box, and you have the spectator shake the box and pretend to put an invisible razor in there. And long story short, you open the box and you dump out all the cards, and there's all these cut up cards in there, and the one that's not cut up is the other selection. That's not original either. I know there's a marketed version of that, and I've seen a couple other handlings out there. I don't know who came first. But anyway, it's less familiar than some of these other effects. So there's nothing that I saw that was really revolutionary in any of the sandwich effects or the coins across routines or the matrix or the Ramsey coin and cylinder. So really, I don't know what was really added to make these something unique that made them worthy of publication. Other than the one thing that might be valuable is to know that a working pro who is a good entertainer performs these effects. And so that may be worth your time and interest or money. But when I ask the question, what are you getting? You're getting to see a pro in action, A, and B, you're getting 8 effects. Now, as you know, I don't let what the effects are affect my rating. Don't let the effects affect the rating. But I do have to consider effect a little bit when, if let's just say that somebody went through an old Vernon book and just pardon the pun, culled out 4 or 5 card tricks from Vernon and then published those tricks. Well, that's not, that would have a bad rating in my opinion because they're just republishing somebody else's work. Now, I'm not saying that Wayne Dobson did that. He certainly did not. These are his handling, his take on classic plots and stuff. It's just that I didn't feel they were very innovative or that much different from other stuff I've seen. They're very similar looking, and I just don't know that there was much value add by seeing his handling. Now, I will say the exception to that is the coins and glass and the continuous do as I do. In the coins and glass, he had a nice, really pretty touch that it uses a magic wand, but not just as, look, it's a magic wand, I'm doing magic with it. He actually uses it in a different way that's very visual and very clever, and it adds a nice, it's a nice complement to the audio of the coins landing in the glass. I really liked that idea. And I think that, it's nothing over the top, blow your mind revolutionary, but just a nice touch that makes the coins and glass routine look a little prettier. So you might be interested in that. And then the do as I do, the method is a method that's, all those methods are pretty similar, just generally speaking. But this one, the way it was structured allowed you to do the effect 3 times in a row. And where, you give half the deck to the spectator. She keeps her half, she shuffles hers, you shuffle yours, you trade top cards, and then you put the top card to the bottom, and then you turn over your packets, and both packets have the matching, red 3, or whatever. And then you can immediately repeat that without having to touch the spectator's packet. You can do that 3 times, or if you want, you could do it 4 times. It's however, after 4 or 5, it gets a little unwieldy just due to the way the method works, but 3 easily. So that may be of interest to you as well. But generally speaking, the effects are standard plots. And so because of that, I have to drink some water. That's what. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Because of the fact that the effects are just pretty standard effects and there's not a whole lot new or innovative, that does have to hit the rating a little bit. Has nothing to do with whether I like the effects or not. That's none of that comes into play. It's just a matter of, these are not anything new, and so it's if it's nothing new, why publish it? Well, why publish it? Because I've got a nice little tweak or an addition or something that makes it more practical or whatever. But I didn't see any of those things in those effects. So, sorry, I really feel bad because I really like Wayne Dobson, and it's such a shame what's happened to him, with the MS and everything. And I just, as a human being, I really like the guy. I don't know him personally, and I've seen him perform before, and I've always enjoyed it. It's very funny. And so, having said that, the next half of what are you getting besides the 8 tricks, which, again, that kind of fell a little bit flat there. What are you getting? Well, you get to see a pro in action. Well, if you're going to see a pro in action, what should you learn? Presentation skills, audience management, just general stage presence, those kinds of things. And I feel bad even saying it, but it really wasn't there. Now, I've seen some old YouTube clips of him, and his presentation was original. I don't remember the effect. In fact, I think I remember that it was an effect that I don't even really care to do, but just I liked his presentation, how he interacted with the audience, how funny he was, how clever he was, how witty he was, how original he was. The key being original. So I was sort of expecting that in the performance footage, because if you're going to get two things out of this video, the tricks and watching a pro in action, and then the tricks kind of fell flat, well, then at least maybe we'll get something from watching the pro in action. Well, his presentation was, what I have here is a deck of cards. What I'd like you to, and this is how fast he went too. What I have here is a deck of cards, and what I'd like you to do is take this card, and what I'd like you to do is sign your name on this card, or I don't know if he had a card signed, but what I'd like you to do now is place it back in the deck, and what I'm going to do now is shuffle the cards, and now what I'm going to do is put a card over here, and now I'm going to put the deck over here. And we don't need more people doing that, guys. We don't. That's not good presentation. And again, normally I don't let how good or how bad the presentation is affect the star rating. Trust me, go back and read some of my Craig Petty reviews. His presentations are terrible, but he usually gets pretty good rating because the product quality overall is good. So I don't normally let the presentation impact the star rating. But again, in this case, when the idea is that you're watching a pro in action and you're going to walk away with some added knowledge or something about presentation, and then you end up with that, it has to impact it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I thought, well, okay, if we're not going to learn much about presentation, now I will say there were a few funny lines that were original, that I thought were valuable, and funny little bits here and there that were original. And I can see if a bunch of people buy this DVD, suddenly everybody's going to be doing those bits. So I probably won't be using any of them, unfortunately, because there were some pretty good ones in there. But that aside, his stage presence, there is something to be learned from that. The guy is extremely confident in front of an audience, and he's generally just very, I don't know, sure of himself, I guess. But if he's nervous, it's not showing, and so he just knows how to be in front of an audience. I did feel, though, that the presentations were way too fast. I mean, his coins and cylinder, it was almost so fast that you couldn't even see what the effect was. And there was just a little bit of insulting the spectators, which that may be your personality, and maybe you like that. I've never been a fan of that. But something like that, I don't typically let affect their star rating, but just in case you're wondering. So stage presence, yes, a little bit to learn just by watching him. Audience management, I'd say there's a fair amount to learn just by watching him. Presentation pattern, I would almost say there's nothing to learn, but that's never true. But there's very little to learn there. So this is one of those ones where it was really hard to review and rate this thing, because I love Wayne Dobson, and I just think he's a decent guy that something bad happened to. And he, by the way, he has got such a great attitude about having MS, and you see that in there's actually a video of him doing the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, which is hilarious. And then there's like a 5-ish minute sort of interview. I wouldn't even call it an interview. It's more like Mike Sullivan and Wayne Dobson were just having a fun little conversation, and there's a lot of funny moments in there. Those two are like bonus footage on the DVD that may be entertaining and you may be interested in watching. Yeah, just overall, you know, it just didn't quite get you don't quite get what I think you should get out of a product like this. So it was hard for me to look at a Wayne Dobson product and say that I can't give it that good of a rating. I still feel that you know, the effects on there are the kind of things that people like to do, and if you're looking for different versions of them, or, you know, modified, slightly different handlings maybe, then you might be interested in this. I didn't feel this was a rubble product, especially at the price of $25. and I didn't even quite feel that it was a grubble. I'm leaning almost to a grubble, but I went with 3 stars, stone status of gem with a small g. And to be honest, I'm probably letting the fact that I like Wayne Dobson make that rating a little higher than it should be, if I'm honest with myself. I try not to do that, and I don't know if I'm doing that. I don't know if I am or not, but I might be. So as long as you know that I might be doing that, and then maybe in your head you can go, okay, maybe it's 2.5 stars instead of 3. I don't know. But somewhere around there, we'll say 2.5 to 3-ish stars with a stone status of gem with a little g. So there you have it, guys. This was a tough one for me. It was tough. Just difficult because of the type of product it is. It's hard to review these kinds of products in general. But on top of that, I don't want this to be a reflection on Wayne as a person or as a performer or anything like that. It's just this physical product. That's it. Hopefully I made that clear. 3 stars, stone status of gem, little g. It's time for you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and listen to the random iTunes song of the moment, which is, oh yeah, nothing like a country cheating song, and that is Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks. I just noticed in my video here that the doorknob is behind me. So I don't know if I just bumped the camera when I wasn't looking, because I originally had this set up where I did not think the doorknob was there. So I may have bumped the camera just now. Sorry about that. I was looking away when I did it. Anyway, Garth Brooks, Thunder Rolls. That's a great song. I'm a big Garth Brooks fan. So I'll put a link to that in the description below. Tune in tomorrow, folks. Day 73, where we look at E2 by Alakazam. This is one I've had for a while, and I keep meaning to review it, and I just never get around to it. So I'm just getting around to it. We're doing this one tomorrow. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you then. Peace out.